This exhibition covers my abstract period in two different periods, 1974 to 1983, and my return to abstraction in 2011 to 2014. Today we're going to focus only on the linear work. Yes, I have worked with a lot of planes, but for this moment in time we'll talk just about line and how I have used line over the last 40 years. With each passing decades, line has been used in a different way. Passage is the first piece of sculpture in which I tried to integrate the viewer into the piece by inviting them to walk through it. Color was an integral part of what I was doing in the studio. In time, that changed. So therefore, the emotional value of the yellow is important. This is a piece that we call Untitled. It was built in 1974. It was meant to be a study for a larger piece to be approximately 18 feet high. It's dealing with illusion. And also introduced, like Passage earlier in 1974, color to have it as an integral working element to add another depth to the piece. The model on my left here is a continuation in 1974 of my experiments in which I wanted people to interact in and out of the piece. The one on the right was done in 1975. In this one where I'm using line and plane, there's a dynamic diagonal element in which I'm asking people to interact with, and then of course movements in other directions. So here I introduced for the first time larger planes, mixing it with the lines and using color one more time to add another dynamic element to the sculpture. Towards the end of 1978, I started thinking about returning back to a linear composition of some sort. I did so through the table as image as structure. We do a lot of things in terms of the table as an image for business, for social. I thought, why not use it as a starting point? So what we have here is a post and lintel format, again, not like Passage, but in a different way. And so this piece called Allegro, done in 1979, was all about that musical movement. Things move in and out, they expand, they contract, they move at various angles to interact with you. And once again, you're asked to walk around the piece, not through it like in Passage, but however, in order to fully experience the piece, you have to walk around it. It's painted black because I didn't want the emotional value of color to interfere with the piece. So I wanted you to focus on the structure and on the space and on the line. The nice thing about black is that it compresses the form, and therefore you get it's like a drawing. It stands out in space. I continue working with models. I like the idea of a model working things out on a small scale to resolve issues before I start to build. What I have on my left here is a piece of sculpture built in 1983 called Law's Field. It was the movement from the table as image as structure in which everything happened horizontally to all of a sudden using things in which the planes, the implied lines, are all in a diagonal. This piece goes back to an earlier interest in the notion of inviting the audience to pass through it. So it has an architectural reference of inside-outside. You move through the piece if you wish. As you move around the piece, much like in Passage, you get a different perception of the piece. From a three-quarter view, all the lines get very tight, giving you a much denser surface. As you move in front, the piece opens up a lot more. And from the ends, it's much like looking through a window. It creates an aperture for you to understand what's on the other side of it. Now, I went to aluminum, and only because I didn't want to use color in this case. Where in the case of the table sculptures, painting in black gave them a sense of visual weight. Not only physical, but visual weight. This is much lighter in appearance. And I like this idea of that emotional value that comes with that little bit of a change in which the material defines how you're going to read it.